Hi, Greg Lewis, Metastock Software. Hey, you're about to watch one of the great presentations from our recent Online Trader Summit. I know you're going to enjoy it. If you do not yet have Metastock, make sure you visit metastock.com/traders-summit 3-for-1 for a great 3-for-1 offer for Metastock plus market data. Also, make sure to listen to Jeff Gibby at the end of today's presentation. He has a really great offer. It's very exciting, and I know you're going to want to hear it. Finally, make sure to leave us some feedback. We always want to hear your feedback, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and successful trading.
Let's get straight to it. Oscar Carboni just spent the better part of this week in the office here at Metastock. We're talking a little bit about what he's doing and that kind of stuff. The things that I'll say about Oscar are all going to be nice. He is he is a floor trader, or he was a floor trader. He's been running his group, and all he does, I think, he's constantly looking at futures contracts. Really a great guy, a good technician, one of those people that has a big following on the internet, is a big YouTube star. The thing that you're going to notice is he's quite a personality as well, and it was so good to have him in the office this week. So let's go ahead and bring you on here, Oscar. Oscar?
Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can get a webcam up. Do you hear the audio?
You sound great, yeah.
Excellent. And I clicked on the webcam. It's spinning for the moment.
Okay. Oh, there you are.
There it is.
Right from the Omni Camp location, I see.
Yep, sitting right now in the camp. So the thing about this webinar that's going to come up is I will not be able to see if I'm actually looking in the camera or not, because you guys get to see the camera and I don't, but that's okay. We'll make it work out. You'll be able to hear it, and I will certainly show you a decent amount of charts and present you with what I hope is where the markets will be going to moving forward. Jeff, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I just turned the control over to you. Your fans have arrived already. Randolph says, "I like Oscar!" Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
And
all right, so do I show my screen?
Yeah. Andres says hi. August says, "Yay, Oscar!" So.
Okay. Tell me when I should begin.
Let's get out of the way. It's all you. I'm gonna get out of the way.
Everyone can see the video, hear the audio. We're good.
Mm-hmm. Looks great.
Okay, so let me start with good morning, good afternoon, good evening, traders from around the globe. And my name is Oscar Carboni. Welcome to Live with Oscar, and I am here to show you how a good pair of eyes and a smart chart read is better technical analysis than any system, complicated, that you can ever come up with. I'd like to start this webinar with just a little bit of my history, and then I'll move it forward. We'll actually go on a ride, like a roller coaster ride, which is what it's like for me when I do analysis. It's like being at the amusement park. And I will show you that technical analysis is absolutely the roadmap to future pricing, because a chart is literally a visual look at all the information, that the reports to be released, the reports that have been released from the government, traders' reaction to such, and all the news is baked right into the chart. And if you can figure out how to read the charts properly, all the news is already built in. And I am going to show you some fantastic analysis and how to call the markets, at least my interpretation of where the markets will go towards the end of this year. You might have seen some presentations where you get a lot of history about the back of the chart. We're going to look at the front of this chart and see what happens in the future, because that's what I like to call information that you can use moving forward. This should be exciting, but I would like to say I started trading down on the trading floors in 1982. I was 18 years old, and I stayed there all the way through 2006. And I'll tell you that it's an invaluable education, learning from the trading floor, that you cannot get elsewhere. And mixing that with my brand of technical analysis called the Omni has allowed me to call some of the greatest calls in our history today, and I will show that to you. In fact, I kid you not, as grandiose as this sounds, I am the Michael Jordan of calling markets. I kid you not, you will see this at the end of this seminar, webinar, if you will. So let me start out by showing you just a couple of quick videos. If you don't know who I am, I want you to see the power of the Omni. I have a question for our traders here. Does anyone remember the top high print before the 2008 crash in the S&P? If you don't remember, the high print was 1576. That's the highest the S&P went, and then it started to crash down, and we dropped down to another level, and everyone knew what that level was. Imagine if you knew in advance exactly the number at 1576 that we'd get to, and then exactly how low we would crash to, which was 666. If you knew that before time, what could you have done with that information? And is it even possible to make calls like that? Well, let me show you a 2-minute clip before we get into this analysis session. And yes, it is extremely possible to make calls like that. Watch this clip.
We spoke in yesterday's video about a possible rounded top in this S&P. We had a top, and we put another top in a little bit lower a few days later, and we put another top in that's sort of rounded. If we do not take those tops out tomorrow or the next couple of days, then they're going to push them right back down again. However, if that rounded top gets violated towards the upside and Nasdaq makes new highs, away we go. And if you guys recall, for months on end, I've been saying the 1577 level has been my target since this year began.
You must recognize we were in a bull market from 2001 to 2007. And I was as bullish as the day was long. And during 2007, I made a call for 1576. It's exactly where the market topped out. Now imagine once it topped out, if you knew that it would crack to 668 or 666. Watch what happens next. Now I do these nightly YouTube videos almost every night since 2006. You can count on a video coming out if the market's going to move, and it's geared for what will happen the next day. So these videos go out every single evening. I've got traders that follow me from all over the world. Here's the next set of videos. Once we reach the top in the S&P in 2008, here's what happens next. Literally, I called the high within 1 point. I called 77. It went to 76.
So if you bulls want to make a case, don't start today because I expect this to be way into next year. I think we can see as low as 668 in the S&P, traders. 668. We can go that low while we're producing what could be that inverted, big bottoming inverted head and shoulder.
That call was made when we were breaking down from 1570, 1560, 1500, 1300. I made the call for 668. The low of the drop was 666. Once we hit the low of that drop, so you might say, okay, Oscar, you called the high, it was an accident. You called the low, that's a fluke. When we got to the low, I then called for the market to race back to the price of 1290, and that is exactly what we got. You'll see this next quick clip, and then we'll move forward. So this is real time. This actually happened in front of tens of thousands of traders that I was able to identify the high, then the low of that crash, and then this.
Bold statement, but you know me, traders, any of my long-term video fans, when I make these long-term projections, we have not been wrong on our long-term outlook at all since we've started these videos. You take a look at the 561 videos that are out there, and you will see whenever we've made long-term projections, those videos turned out to be absolutely right. My projection for this year in the S&P, and I'm not saying it's going to be a top by any means, and I'm not saying when it's going to get there, but I am going to say this: the bull market is going to take us to the levels of 1290 to 1300 in the S&P. I think that we at least go there, and then we'll see what happens. 1290 to 1300 this year.
You want to hear something insane? That year it went to 1285, 8 days past the end of the year, it settled smack at 1290. Exactly what I had called for 8 days past the end of the year. That was identified once again with my Omni. So you say, okay, Oscar, big deal. So you're halfway decent with the S&P. Does the Omni work in anything else? Well, do you remember when crude oil was $103 a barrel and it looked like it was going to 150 and the whole street thought it was going up? Well, I called Melissa Francis and said, you know what, I've got to show you something. Watch this quick clip and we'll go from there.
The sudden drop in oil prices isn't a huge surprise to some. One guest predicted it right here on Money 2 years ago.
For perspective, in 1998, crude was only $9.91 a barrel. In 2001, crude was $14.59 a barrel. Then you move us out to 2009, crude was only $35 a barrel just in 2009. So that tells us at the rate we're moving, we should have crude oil back down under $40 a barrel by mid-2015.
I don't know about that. You had me until you...
Now, I paused it because this is actually 2 interviews. At this moment, during this interview, the camera went off and she said, you're a nut, get off my set. She threw me off the set, I swear. She called me a nut, told me to get off the set. I said, Melissa, this is a projection. I don't make predictions. I'm not crazy. I'm giving you a well-heeled projection on where crude will go. Well, time started to pass. We started to get closer to my target, and this happens next. The next interview.
Look who's right now. Joining me now, Oscar Carboni, president of Omni Trading Academy. So, Oscar, I got to say I love you. You're like tweeting at me the last couple of days saying, I was on your show and I predicted this was going to happen. So I said, that can't possibly be true. We went back and we looked at the tape, and of course we found it. You saw it. You said it was going under 40 by mid-2015. We're pretty darn close. When do you think we go under 40 here?
I think it will continue to move lower. I think you'll actually see the price of 30, 35, and then 30 might be a floor. And it appears that they will not stop pushing the price of crude down right now. As you know, I made that projection for you. I use technical analysis always when I start a projection. Everything starts there. In fact, I spend about 20 hours a day in a live chat room on a camera and microphone doing analysis every day. So I've got so many logged hours, more than anyone, and here's what I did. I found the technical picture, and then I always go out and look for a fundamental reason why to prove out my technical picture.
What was your fundamental reason?
Well, what I did was I seen the price was going to come down on the chart, so I took the price of crude over 15 years, the price of the stock market, and the price of the dollar, crude relative to those two. And then I looked at how much crude production was being made, shale. I added it all together and extrapolated $40, which matched my technical projection. And then I came on the show to tell you about it.
I'm floored.
All right, that's enough. I wanted to show you, if you don't know who I am, the power of my Omni before I get into this analysis, because it doesn't matter what you've seen before this. This is what happens in these markets. I am here to show you how to read these charts. You don't need a complicated system. You don't need a powerful computer. You need Metastock and a good pair of eyes. Now, I've been using Metastock for over 34 years. I'm customer number 11 on their list. Ask them. I've been using them forever. I've tried everything else on the block. This is what works. Now, let me take you on a little ride. Traders, you are looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average daily bar chart. There's been a lot of chatter that we're topping out. You see this little triangle thing? People are saying that we're topping out. And I am here to say, you see this yellow arrow? When a market starts on the bottom left side of your screen and travels all the way to the top right, it is not a bear market, not at all. It is a bull market, and you should always try to trade it with that as an abstract thought in your mind. So you'll get pullbacks like this one in a bull market, but a good bull market will have a pullback and rally forward. And I am here to say that no matter how much talk there is about the markets possibly going down this year, especially Trump haters think it's the top. Forget about politics. Let's look at how these charts operate. Let me show you something. And this is about keeping it simple, traders. Simple is the right way. You're talking about a 36-year veteran, most of that time on the trading floors. Simple is the correct approach. Now watch this. What we're really looking at in this Dow is a massive pennant flag that has held the 200 bar moving average, which I call this the fund manager's blue light special, because fund managers tend to buy when you're above or sell when you get below the 200 bar moving average. They've got all the money in the world. So you watch the smart money. The 200-day average will help you with that. So you've got a pennant flag, which is an absolute bullish formation, bouncing twice off the 200 bar moving average, and has now built a bull flag above the pennant flag. This is a 4-month-long pennant flag. That is not a bearish sign. Now, can the market move down a little bit over the next few weeks and end up back in here? It can. Can we end up breaking it? I don't think that's what will happen. We will end up moving much higher before this year is over. This is the tip of the iceberg of what I want to show you, my reasoning behind why I think we will easily move higher this year overall in our E-mini S&P Nasdaq Dow. Of course, you will get whipsaws, and we're day traders, and we like to be in and out of the markets at the end of the day. If we're, most of our positions are done by the end of the day, but we take huge chunks out of the market. We always trade with stops. And by the way, this is a very risky game. Trading is extremely risky. If you don't know that, you certainly should. So looking back at this whole chart, that is an extremely bullish market that has done a fantastic job holding on to these moving averages and creating things lately. The flavor of the last couple of weeks, if not the last couple of months, has been bull and bear flags. There are many formations that become in vogue, if you will, during the months as the years pass. However, right now, flags tend to be waving all over these charts, and you will see a lot of them during this technical analysis session. So while we're looking at these charts in this fashion, if you need proof, if you're sitting here right now saying, Oscar, why would you just think because you drew a little triangle there that the market's going up? Let me show you some proof in some other markets that I've looked at over the last couple of days. And all of these trades are trades that we will take at the Omni Trading Academy in my trading room anytime. So let's go here and look at this chart. This is the Russell 2000. This has been absolutely leading the parade in U.S. indices. It is just the band leader, rock and roll, follow me higher, and you will do well. That's how our Russell has been acting. It's held very well on my Omni average, Oscar's market navigational indicator. It's well above that average right now. But this appears to be a triple top without this little breakout, right? Well, when this triple top appeared a few days ago, I did a live YouTube video. You can see them all. And I told all of my Omniacs, this is a triple top, and a triple top is not what you read in books. The way you've read this in books, the way you've studied it in the past, I am here to tell you I've got more analysis time than most of the people who've ever considered penning a book. 36 years deep, I'm not ready to pen my book yet. I have tested these things. A triple top is not a top. It should not be called a triple top. What you get when you see a triple top in most instances is a small pullback and then a rally through. So in that video a few nights back, I said, Omniacs, do not be afraid. This is not a triple top. We are going to have a little pullback and we will blast right through it. And look at where we are now. All-time highs were made. This is the highest the Russell has ever been. Simple analysis works really well. Now, of course, I've got an Omni, which gives me market direction with a bunch of indicators, and we've got a way of coming up with where to buy and sell. But the abstract view is where you get your information from, whether or not you should consider buying or selling that day. And the abstract view is the simple view. But remember, futures trading is very risky if I haven't warned you yet. And we always trade with stops, but these techniques are fantastic. So, all right, this triple top did work, like you said, Oscar, but does that mean all of them do? Well, not 100% of them, but most triple tops are not triple tops. They're made for just short-term pullbacks before the rally through. So that's your Russell, showing us that if you are looking at that Dow Jones chart, if the leader right now happens to be the Russell, and it sure does look like that's the leader, the Dow should follow it through and make all-time new highs at some point. Let's see if there's any more proof out there. Here's a Nasdaq chart. Nasdaq above the Omni. Once again, flags are in vogue and in flavor all over the charts. Can you move up and down inside this flag and still move lower? Sure. In the end, will it move higher? That's what both flags call for, yes. The Omni will time it and tell us when it's going to move higher. That's for another video. For now, let me show you how to look at these charts properly. So If that was a triple top breakout, well, Nasdaq is usually one of the leaders too. Look what the Nasdaq did. That was a triple top and it broke out. It hit that triple top for a third time. It had a 1-day little pullback, and then it took off and turned into a bull flag above the triple top. You see how this stuff all comes together and works together? So, all right, right now we've got the Dow. Can't tell if that's good or bad, except for that little triangle or that huge pennant Oscar drew on it. Well, the Nasdaq's showing you that the Dow should move higher. The Russell showed you that the Nasdaq would break through its triple top, and it did, and the Russell did. Why shouldn't the other markets? They're sister markets. They should absolutely follow in suit with one another. Now, there are leaders from time to time called sector rotation, and that's when the big traders with the huge funds out there are buying Russell stocks, getting some exposure to Europe and getting some exposure to the transportation average, and they'll buy Russell stocks because they tend to be cheaper than our FANG stocks at the moment. And when those go up a little, the fund managers run into the Nasdaq and start buying that, and the Russell slightly pulls back, and then they roll out into the S&P. It's called sector rotation. Something I've learned down on the trading floors. You can spot it and watch it. It's kind of easy to spot. You just need to see who's doing the leading. And that's simple enough to tell if you know how to view your charts. So the Nasdaq building a bull flag directly above my Omni average, above that triple top. You've got to really like what you see there as well. So you can join me in my live trading room. It is free. It's at livewithoscar.com. I certainly go over these charts often, and we put out trades every day. But let's move forward on these charts because I want to show you more of the picture that I've developed over the last few days or weeks looking at these daily charts, expecting the market to move higher once we get out of summertime. So let's take a look at the next chart that we have here in this list. We're looking at the Dow Jones Transportation Average. Now, is this not the same look that the Russell had and the Nasdaq? Isn't that basically the same thing? Well, why shouldn't we move higher, just like the Russell did, just like the Nasdaq did, and break out above that triple top? It's built what I like to call an Oscarism known as an F flag above my Omni average, right underneath that would be considered triple top. A brief pullback, I think we've already seen it, which is this. I think that's already a brief pullback to the bottom of the flag. The next call should be higher. When Omni flips to a buy, I think we blast off through that. So that's your Dow Jones Transportation Average. And once again, look at how well the fund manager's blue light special works out. Fund managers go, hey, we're getting to the 200, everybody in. It's constant. You see it? It's constant. And it was also the low of my F flag, which is bullish. So this is all coming together, and it's simple. Keep it simple, traders. You don't need a bunch of arrows and things pointing you in 50 directions. And if you've got convergence with divergence, and if this average goes to that, and if the market moves and then pulls back, that's not a signal. That's insanity. Signals are simple. So let's continue to look at other signals. Now, by the way, the Dow Jones Transportation Average tends to be our leader of the indices more often than not in a big way. And basically simple, but if you are creating a product in a factory and you need to get it out to market, it needs transportation in some way. You've got to get raw materials, transport them to the factory, create your product, take that product, move it out to a distribution center. People have to drive to or get to that distribution center to get your product. Every bit of that needed transportation. If any of this slows down, the transportation sees it like that. Right now, the transportation average is doing what everything else is doing. It's building a simple pennant flag, sitting around waiting for something to do. You know, top line here, bottom line here. It's just a big pennant flag waiting for a summer breakout or an after summer breakout. And that's the way I am viewing these charts. At least that's what it looks like to me. And I am very good at this. I kid you not. 36 years, most of it digging my fingers to the bones, learning analysis and trading every day, helping others trade. This is real. Let me show you what else is going on here. Now, you've got the E-mini S&P, a beautiful picture. 3 good holds of the 200 bar, just like all the other indices did. Above now my Omni average, a bull pennant flag has been created, and this is nothing more than the same thing I've been showing you in all the other charts. This is just a big old pennant flag at the end of a massive rally. that is a flag, traders, that tells you we're going higher, not something that will top out the market. Now, I called the top in 2008. You should believe me on this. This is not a top. This is not a topish looking pattern by any means. Now, how would we get into a trade and make points or money, if you will, on these trades? Well, that's something that I actually teach at an Omni camp. I hold Omni camps here with their 4-day training sessions, really 5, in Las Vegas. I only take 5 of you at a time. I only do this 4 times a year because I refuse to teach this to too many people. It is something I've lived on my whole life. I know it works. My children are going to have to use it when they grow up, and I don't share it with many people. So if you want to learn the actual in and out of how we get in and out of these trades and how to break down a chart so that you know where to buy, sell, and put your stops, you'll have to join me in an Omni camp, but those are limited. It's only 5 people at a time. We'll talk about that eventually. Let's continue to look at these charts. Now remember, it's just a big flag. Now it's above the Omni, and it built a pennant flag. Can you pull back? Sure. We could have pullbacks all the way to the bottom of this flag, and that would be nothing more than another buy opportunity near the 200, and back up we will end up going. Will it go lower? Well, I think this flag tells us that we go higher already, but we'll take it one day at a time. I put out those recommendations every day at my site, so of course you can take it one day at a time as well. So that's your S&P look. Very abstract, very simple. Keep it simple, traders. That's your approach here. And let's go now take a look at another chart here. Let's switch gears now. Do those flags, do these techniques work in other markets? Well, here's a gold chart. By the way, I didn't show you the video. I didn't want to bore you in the beginning, but I also made a very bold projection in gold at 1690 that the top was in after that big bull run in 2008-9. And that turned out to be an extremely good year for us trading gold, because that was the high after it made its absolute high of 2000 and came down. We called the official top as soon as it broke 17 and started shorting gold all the way down as best as we could. And here we are now at the price of 1285-ish. And look at these techniques. You got below the Omni average. You couldn't get below. You couldn't get below. You couldn't get below. Boom, you break the Omni average. The first thing it does is create a bear flag. And then in my videos every night for the last 10 days, all you heard about was me saying, the hunt is on in gold, bear flag traders, let's go, the hunt is on, we're going to make money in gold. We have killed it in the gold market. At least I can say this, just about every trade we took in the last 10 days in gold, except for maybe one, was spot on. Fridays was about break even, maybe we lost a point. It was a small day like this. All these other days that we traded, we nailed getting in at the right price and getting out at the right price. Thank you to my Omni. Omni is not just an average, by the way. It's Oscar's market navigational indicator. It's a whole bunch of things that happen, but you're not seeing the Omni right now on this chart. That's something that, once again, you would see if you came to an Omni camp. But this bear flag, you see this white thing, that's considered a bear flag, where you have a market that drops down very quickly. And by the way, you could call this whole thing a flagpole if you want. This whole thing here, you could just raise this and say the whole thing's the flagpole. A market races down quickly, does a sideways to upwards consolidation. That is a bear flag. And then it breaks. And it broke down into another, what I like to call Oscarism, if you will. And that is another F flag. You see this yellow F flag? That tells us that the gold should likely continue down until we finally break out of the F flag. And I'll just tell you what the F flag's for. So I found this F flag several years ago. It took me 3 years to qualify it. Every day I looked at it. I found when I qualified what it was a new formation for me. Then I recognized an F flag, you will stay inside that F flag sometimes for weeks on end. But when you get out of the F flag, you will get completely F'd. The market will go completely the other way. You need to have your stopping on the F day. So I dubbed it the F flag. And that's the way we use it, us and my Omniacs and I. We use the F flag whenever it comes up. It's a bit of a joke. We all know you'll get F'd at the end, but it's a great trader while you're in it. And there's something you'll never read in a book. It's total Oscarism, and I've got many of those. If you hang out with me in my live trading room, you'll see a lot of other Oscarisms, if you will. But look at how well the market behaved above my Omni average, and when it broke it, it just became total bear market. And of course, you've even got a channel here. If you wanted to go crazy and start drawing your channels, you've got a fat channel coming down here. Then you grab a parallel of this line, and you say, wow, gold is in a serious parallel channel at the moment. And I think it's going to stay in this channel for a while. Look at that, the way it just hugs the line all the way down. Beautiful channel, flags building in the channel, below the Omni, below the 200. What more do you need? You don't need a system to show that to you. A good pair of eyes, a well-trained pair of eyes can see all of these techniques. They're simple. So that's something we've worked on all week, in the last 2 weeks in gold, and we've done, I must say, we've done quite well. You can ask my Omniacs. We don't win every day, and no one can. And I noticed a lot of the presenters were showing you a whole bunch of winning trades. I didn't see a whole lot of losing trades get presented to you cats, but we do lose, I promise you. But we don't lose all the time. We win more than we lose, which is why I've got a crowd around me that's so large from Wall Street. So just know that you're not going to have all winning trades. Don't listen to anyone who's going to sell you the Holy Grail or tell you that you're going to have all winners with little losses. It's not happening. The reality is, if you have a lot of winners, it's okay to have a loss every now and then. You've just got to have more winners than losers. You've got to have a methodical approach, which has rules that you do not change, you do not break, and you do not mess with the parameters of your system, and just trade it every day. That is something you will learn from me if you hang out with me long enough. Never mess with the parameters of your system. When the market whips around, let the market come back into fold with your system. So here's your gold. Worked out really well for us. Let's see what else we have on the menu here. Look at this dollar index. This has all that stuff I just showed you on one chart. How exciting is that? So you've got bear flag here, breaks down to another bear flag, breaks down to another make-believe triple top. They don't exist, traders. There's no such thing as a triple top. Rarely do they actually top out a market. Look what happened. A brief pullback, just like Oscar tells you is going to happen. And then what comes next? A fat rally. Boom, 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 straight up after the pullback. That is what you would expect, unless a market truly is topping out. These things do happen from time to time. But if you're in a pattern that doesn't look like it should top out, a triple top is nothing more than a buying opportunity. And of course, it got above my Omni, and that's when it took off. Now, what else is this? It's not just a triple top with bear flags and a channel that worked really well, just like the other charts. And those other charts were not the dollar, right? This is the dollar now. It's also a pennant flag, just like the one I've been showing you in the indices, that broke out and took off. Do you see what I'm saying, traders? It all comes together, this analysis. If you know how to view these charts, and if you do not change your approach and you recognize that a flag is a flag is a flag until it's not, if it's a flag formation, a head and shoulders is what it is until it's not, a pennant, a channel, you name it. If you trade it recognizing that this is what it is, and I'm not going to listen to anyone else because they work consistently, you will find consistency in your trading. Now, there's another little flag right here. If you can't spot them, I will certainly teach you how. Small, but still a flag. You see this one right here? You can just easily grab a few lines and go, wow, look at that little flag breakout. So flags happen to be the flavor of the charts right now. It'll be something else as the year passes, and you'll see me hemming and hawing about a completely different type of formation in my nightly videos. But for now, we've got big pennant flags, which are bullish at this point in time. We've got false triple tops, which have all been broken through that I've shown you so far. The ones that haven't certainly will before this summer's over. You've got bear flags, and we'll see some bull flags like this one here, this blue one. These things are simple, but they work. And if you just want to see the back of this, I mean, that's the back of your pennant flag. It is a pennant flag, kids. So I love looking at analysis this way because not only is it simple, but this compared with my Omni almost always puts me in the proper direction, which is why I put out these YouTube videos. And so many of you are so impressed with the Omni direction, as I am. I'm not going to blame myself. It's my Omni. I love my Omni. I'm no more special than anyone else sitting here. Everyone can trade the way the Omni trades. It's not all that complicated, but luckily I have an Omni, which makes me a little more special than some of the other cats out there who maybe think they've got something good but can't prove it over 25 years. This has been working with me since literally my early 20s. I'm 53 now. I'm still using this Omni, and many other people are as well. Let's move along, though. We're not completely done here. 30-year bonds, something completely different, right? We've looked at a lot of different types of markets, and these very same techniques are still showing up. The same ones that are showing up in the other charts that we've presented so far, they're still showing up right here. Now, 30-year T-bonds. big parallel channel. Interesting how as we get out of the parallel channel, it hits the Omni average and dumps as if it was a target. Comes back down, hits the Omni average again one more time, and that's it. After that, sayonara. You start to fall apart into a bear flag, smack down into basically another Oscarism F flag. So that Oscarism, sorry about that, that Oscarism F flag is building right here. You know, you can, of course, the beauty of technical analysis, by the way, is this is not a science. This is an art. It does not have to look perfect. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to calculate out into any formula. It just needs to look like the formation. A good trained pair of eyes, a well-trained pair of eyes is all you need to catch these trades. Now, how do you trade these formations? I don't know that I have the time to go over how we would trade them completely, but see right here, it's a bear flag. You sell the top of a bear flag. You never ever buy the top of a bear flag. In fact, that lesson was a lesson that was invaluable to us when gold got to the high of this bear flag right here. I had a bunch of traders telling me that gold is now going to break out, and I said to them, I put out a video, you can go see it last week. I said, do not sell the top of a bear flag. Are you crazy? How about we don't trade this day, let it happen without us, and we'll pick it up the very next day. And what happened was it failed at the top of that bear flag. We immediately shorted it this day, and look what happened after that. Now, we don't hold positions. We get in and we get out by the end of the day, and we get back in at night. You know, we try not to leave our accounts up to the mercy of President Trump gets sucked out of his bed by some alien beam from Mars, and you're stuck in a position that you can't get out of and your account's wiped out. Well, we tend to get out every day before the day is over. Even if we want to get back in that night, we'll get back in that night. But we like to get into cash and sit back and make sure, especially on weekends, which is where all the bad news comes out, that we're ready to just do analysis and take advantage of whatever is starting to happen next, instead of being stuck in a position that you've held for weeks and it made X amount of dollars and now it's against you for double what it used to make and you're stuck in it. And that happens to a lot of people. They end up with analysis paralysis or confirmation bias, or worse, they say, you know what, this is a good company. I'll just put this in my portfolio and hold on to it until it goes to zero. That you're not supposed to do. And my approach makes sure that unless you get into a massively great trade that just runs away and you want to hold on to it, we're out after we hit our profit objectives. We get in, we have a stop planned if we're wrong, we have a profit objective or two if we're right, and the day comes to an end. Simple, the way the market would like for you to approach it. Markets don't like complicated people who think they're cute. Markets like simple, people who agree with the market, get along with the market, don't fight the market. The market is always right. Rule number one, the market is always right, and if the market is wrong, rule number two, please refer to rule number one. It's always right. Only we get that wrong. If you learn these techniques properly, and again, I'm showing you the simplest of what it is that I do, but simple is best, you will learn how to call markets correctly and amaze people around you and yourselves, hopefully. Now, I've got a live trading room, as I've mentioned. You can find me at livewithoscar.com. In this live trading room, I am here at all times. Usually there's a camera on as well. From my end only, camera and microphone. So I broadcast out like I'm doing in this room with you at this webinar. You can see me, you can hear me, you can ask questions. It's continued education forever until one of us doesn't bother coming in one day. And I don't think that will be me. So this is what I do. I live it, I breathe it, I sleep it, I drink it. It is who I am. And you can share in that if you hang out with me in my trading room. So these are some of the charts that I found interesting. Let's go take a look and see what I could pull up other charts that we haven't looked at yet, but I don't know that we need to do that. Let's go look at this one. Here's an interesting one. The power of the moving average, if used properly, is out of control in your favor if you know how to read them properly and use them properly. Now, look at this average on Adobe Systems. It's a stock. We were doing commodities. The averages work well on commodities. Well, now we're doing a stock. How come it works so well on a stock too? because the Omni is incredible the way it works. I mean, it's just, if you find the right average, you keep it and use it forever. So look at this. If every time you hit this average, it's one of my Omni averages, and you waited for it to get off the average and bought it, only one time would you have been faked out. In every instance, that was the move to make. Simple, right? Why complicate your life with so many techniques and, you know, these programs that come up and give you arrows and all these crazy things that point in directions, and you need 50 different variables to come together at once? Why? This stuff is much simpler than that. If you're good at what you do, you don't need to have all the bells and whistles to fool people. You show them the truth, like what you're seeing right here. This is how this stuff works. Now, are there flags? Absolutely. As I told you, that is the flavor of the month. Flag right here. Let's see if we could turn these into a different color for you. Make it a little brighter. And just to point out that quick flag right there. Sorry to waste your time. I just didn't want to draw it up without you guys seeing it first. So boom, right there. Here's a flag, undoubtedly. Once again, make it nice and bright yellow so you can't miss it. So there is your flag or your parallel channel, and here's your flag pole. Bingo. What should happen next? You should break out of that. Ever since you bounced off of this average. You see this flag here, it's the same sort of thing. You can just draw another one right here. Little flag pole, but still you had a little bullish flag. So why flags are building on the markets? Well, I don't care about why. That's the wheel. I tend to take the wheel, throw it in my car, and drive it around. I don't need to reinvent it. But I do know that when I see these things, I take advantage of them. So another little flag here. There's your pole. Small, but I like, you know, larger ones are better. But it is constant and it is forever. I mean, you've got an Oscarism F flag sitting right here. And you'll see why I call it an F flag in just a moment. So you had a nice little F flag build here, right? And as I told you, you can stay in that flag indefinitely and just keep buying and selling inside the flag with your Omni signal, of course. But look what happens once you break out of the F flag. You totally get F. Look at that drop. Boom, boom, boom. So you've got to know when you're coming out of that flag, and you've got to have your stops in, of course. And the fact that we're day traders, we're in and out constantly when we find flags of this nature. Now, there are many other things on this chart other than flags, but being that flags are what you will probably use moving forward, very near future, because that's what we're stuck in. Let's just talk about those flags, right? So great average, hold every time it hit. One time you would have been faked out for a few days, but in the end it still worked. And of course that time is here. Barring that, just about every time you came near that moving average, it worked. The power of a moving average if used properly. Simple, right, kids? Keep it simple. It is my approach. Ask anyone that hangs around me. When you first get to see it, you think it's simple, and then you recognize that it's, what I've done was take some of the most complicated analysis on the planet and simplify it to something we, layman's terms, can all understand, instead of it being so complicated and confusing. So that's your Adobe systems. That's a stock using all the same techniques that we use on our commodities. Let's see what else we have in this little bag of tricks. We did the, here's one. We didn't do this one yet, did we? Look at crude oil. When I tell you a flag is a flag is a flag until it's not, a flag is a flag is a flag until it's not. And I've done videos, you know, in the last 20 days, I've done 6 videos where I said, this is what I like to call the 3 little flags. I didn't even bother showing this flag over here. I just showed this one and this one and this one in my videos and said, look at this, traders, this thing is skyrocketing. It's crude. Believe in the flags. Omni will turn when it's at the bottom of a flag, and it'll tell us to get long, and it has been very good at that. We haven't really had any mishaps in crude, maybe one out of the times we've traded it so far. But look at how well these flags are working and projecting out. Look at that nice run projection out of that flag. And then you have this flag, which has a nice run and actually builds. You see this one? It's another little Oscarism known as an F flag. And then you run into another bull flag and then another bull flag. So why are they the flavor of the month? Well, you know what? I don't know. I don't care. I don't reinvent the wheel. I just use them to hopefully make money. So we want to keep it simple, traders. Keep it simple. Now, one of the best things I can tell you about keeping it simple is, join me in my live trading recommendation service. It's called the Platinum Membership. It's at livewithoscar.com. First of all, come into my free trading room and spend nothing. Just hang out with me and see what happens. You'll start to recognize that this is as professional as it gets. Everyone who huddles in my trading room, we are there for trading. It's what we do. We're serious about what we do, but it's a great place to hang out because the trading room is a spot where everybody's kind of comfortable and working with one another, and I get to present the Omni there, and hopefully that keeps all of us in tune with what's going on. So remember, certainly keep it simple. Now, so the other thing, by the way, which I didn't really show you here, I did a live seminar, forget, not a webinar where everybody stays at home and types, but I was doing a live seminar for Metastock 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever the number is, I forget now. And during that seminar, I put up a chart of Apple and I said, listen, traders, Apple just made an all-time high. It's never been this high in its entire life. And I am here to tell you, I'm not crazy. Apple has topped for a while. It's not the top in Apple, but it is for a while. And I presented charts for about 45 minutes. And I said, everyone sitting in this audience, by the time Apple drops to that spot, you'll all be calling me Uncle Oscar. And everybody laughed. And you know what happened? Apple dropped all the way down to where I said it was going to drop in like 5 straight sessions, maybe 2 weeks it was there. And my next Omni camp was full of traders from that Metastock seminar. And I knew that they would show up because I showed them what I'm showing you. I give you what's going to happen in the future. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. Everything I'm showing you now is for stuff that we're going to use this week coming forward. And when I put out my recommendations and I run my chat room and my trades, we're going to use these very same techniques to continue to try to make points or limit our losses with stops as these markets gyrate and move around. So once again, did you notice on this chart how well the average kept us in tune? Look at this, is insane how well this average will work, because here it worked really well. And right there, bottom, it couldn't even get to the bottom of the flag. It started bouncing off the Omni and it took off. Just missed the Omni, took off, and the flags themselves. And of course, getting in and getting out is when I do my Omni analysis to come up with exact buy and sell levels, but it's all based on formations, averages, technical analysis on indicators, and my Omni. So it's less complicated than you might think, traders. I kid you not. If you can learn to uncomplicate your approach, hang out with me, I'll teach you how to keep it simple. You will find that suddenly things start to become clearer for you. It's not easy to keep it simple because traders try to outsmart the markets all the time. They try to outsmart themselves. But I am telling you that that's not the way you should do this. So what I did was, with the indices charts, I presented you with a picture that shows no matter what anyone out there tells you in the next few months, expect us to move higher before this year is out. My year-end projections have actually been on target for 11 out of 12 years. 1 year, we didn't make the projection. We had a break-even year. I think it was 2012, maybe 2013, where we opened up the S&P at one price and closed at the same price at the end of the year. That's the only year so far Omni hasn't pulled the target correctly since 2007. Go back and look at the videos, check with any of the Omniacs who follow me, and you will find that the Omni's long-term calls, like I showed you in those first few video skits or clips, if you will, absolutely proved that, boy, this Omni is pretty sharp. So I wanted to present you with the bare bones of what you will learn if you hang out with me. Let's see if there's any other chart here that we can go play with. Did we look at cotton? Oh, we didn't look at cotton yet, huh? So here's a cotton chart completely off the grid from all the other stuff I've been showing you, right? Remember that triple top thing? If you get nothing else from this webinar, I want you to leave with a piece of information. Forget about what you've been taught or read in books about that triple top. It's one of the themes, of course, in this webinar. You see, this looks like a triple top in cotton. Let's start getting the triple top right going forward. I want all of you to start getting this right. A brief pullback, then a run above the triple top is what you are supposed to expect. A brief pullback, the yellow line. What does it do next? It does a run above the triple top. Now, here's the thing. we're day traders. So does it have to continue running forever? Not for me. Out of that trade onto the next signal, we are day traders. But I am here to show you that a triple top is not what the world thinks it is. Oscar will teach you my method, the Omni method, and you've seen it in each of these charts, and I did not find charts that had triple tops. They're the charts that we're using every day to trade, and all I did was show you the most, common charts out there anyway, right? Gold, bonds, S&P, Dow trading. That's what everyone's looking at. But then if I show you exotics, you will see that these techniques are exactly the same, even in the exotics. So get this right. Learn this from me. If you get nothing else out of this webinar, please start using your triple tops correctly. And if you don't know how to use them, again, come down to my live trading room. It costs you nothing. It's a free room. And hang out with me, because that's my trading pit. It's where I spent most of my life in the pits, and now I use my room like it's my trading pit. So once again, you've got the triple top here, the pullback that worked. It's also building some sort of a channel here, right? You can see that it's starting to run into a channel. So channels, flags, these things that seem simple are very, very powerful. So what you're starting to get is a new channel in this direction. As you should expect, because you're breaking out of that triple top, why not get a new channel? And instead of I'm not taking a parallel channel and trying to make it fit. I'm drawing a pretty trend line, asking for a parallel of that trend line and showing you that it's exact across the tops, just like the bottoms. I'm not trying to fool anybody with the, putting a channel technique tool on here and making it fit to where I want it to fit. You see what I've done? This is a straight trend line. I asked for a parallel of that, and that's what I use. I never even bothered to use the parallel trend lines. I want to see hardcore, pure parallels, not ones that I force fit using my mind and my eyes. That's a much prettier way to do your channels. So once again, if you're someone who likes to use parallel channels, use it in the way I just showed you. Find a very valid trend line and then ask for a parallel of that and see if it also holds the market. Now, look at how many lows, look at how well this parallel works. Look at how many lows come across this line right here. Right? It worked, almost hit here, hits here, hits here, hits here, stops it here, stops it here, stops it here, stops it here, and then it blows out. That's not even the top of the parallel. That's just showing you that this whole channel is working in a parallel. You see that? Simple, but interesting. And this is how I spend most of my life. And I invite you to come down and spend your life with me in my chat room, and we'll see where we go. So let me say that there's another thing that I'm able to offer you now because of this webinar, and it's this. First, join my free live trading room, livewithoscar.com. If you would like to contact me, just join for free. It asks for almost no information from you, so no personal information is being saved. And just click the email Oscar link if you don't want to come in the chat room, and shoot me a direct email and I can get back to you. You can join my real-time recommendation service, and this is what I get to offer during this webinar, which I haven't had a chance to offer previously. I'm going to give you a $1 2-week free trial. Well, we call it a free trial, but it's a $1 offer to receive my direct recommendations as they come out day and night. We trade 24 hours a day. You will get where to buy, where to sell if it's a sell trade, where to buy if it's a buy trade, where to put your stop, which we put in first, most important, and where to take your profits. If you really like what's going on, fill out an OmniCamp application. I've got one class left this year. 5 of you only are getting invited. I don't care how many people fill out the applications. 5 of you are coming. That's it. And I will teach you the art of Oscar's market navigational indicator for yourselves. Now, keep it simple, traders. Remember, what I wanted to show you very quickly in this trading room, let me just see if I have it up for you. In fact, I won't even bother to show you trading room again. I got something a little more interesting. If you decide to take my recommendations and you're at my website, let's say you come down here and you decide to upgrade, you upgrade and now you're getting recommendations. What happens is every day I tell you what we're going to trade, and there's a link to my video right here. Then under here it'll tell you the hunt remains on in gold, just like I told you I've been telling my OmniX. And it'll tell you what I'm going to trade and why. Below that is a chart explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing. And as you can see, that little note says this is why I chose not to buy the top of a bear flag. It was perfect advice and we did well. However, On the right side is the important stuff. What happens on the right side is every time I send a flash update, you will get notified. An email goes out. If you're in the United States, a text goes out, and something even more interesting. This is what you will receive. If you join my service, you'll get this. This will pop up and take over your computer. Any program that you're working on, this will show up in the forefront, and it will ring. You can turn off the sound if you need to, and it'll tell you exactly what I want you to do. And one of these will come out every single time we're going to trade until we're out of that trade. You get an email, you get a text, you get that pop-up window, and it shows up here on the site as well. And I'm in the chat room to help you out, so you can also be in the chat room and ask. So I encompass you, and I'll encompass you with everything that you will need to hopefully become a successful trader if you join my trading room. And again, it costs you nothing to hang out with me. I share my knowledge readily with anybody, and I'm here to answer your questions, which we've got a few moments. If there are any questions, Jeff, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And that's your cue, Jeff, if you want to speak.
Okay, yeah. It's my cue to try and find the microphone button. Let's see, a couple questions that were coming in. Do you do any work with Forex?
I prefer to stay out of the Forex markets. I instead will trade Euro, and I'll trade futures markets for the currencies, but I stay out of the Forex. I don't like regulation in Forex, the deregulation. I don't like the fact that some Forex companies don't even bother to put your trade in the real market. They just take the other side of it. These things aren't part of trading and shouldn't be part of trading. So no, I stay out of the Forex, but I do trade the currencies.
Okay, Carrie asks, where do you get the OmniCamp app?
Okay, so if you come to this website, livewithoscar.com, this is your OmniCamp application. Just click it. You can fill it out. It asks for almost nothing as well. And if you'd like to see what other traders think, you can click here and look at the testimonials of any traders that have ever come out to my OmniCamps, and you can see them all and see what they have to say about what they learned when they came out to my 4-day camp.
Carlisle asks, can you show historical performance?
Oh, sure. In fact, I make it simple. While I was in the NFA for 35 straight years, I wasn't allowed to show my performance without having a book this fat and all sorts of things, an independent auditor. So here's what I did to get around that. Didn't make them happy, but it works. You can click on any trade date. The trades that we did on that date will show up. For every trade Omni has ever put out since 2006, every single trade I have ever done is in this calendar. Go look for yourselves. You can see, all you have to do is follow the progression of the trades, look at the chart, and you can see if Omni made the right call. And that's my way of being able to show you my past results without having to get in trouble with the regulators.
Art wants to know if you accept Amex.
Do I accept Amex? Yes, I do believe we do accept credit cards and PayPal, but I thought you were talking about the Amex. My mind immediately goes to the Amex floor down on the exchange in Manhattan.
Charles has asked this question a couple of times, and if I miss a question, I'm sorry, but he wanted to know, he says his account isn't large enough for day trading. Will your system work with swing trades?
Yes. What you need to do, of course, is follow my slightly longer term projections. And yes, absolutely, it'll work with swing trades. I tend to, as I mentioned in the webinar, I tend to get out very quickly because I don't want to be involved in news coming out about Greece over the weekend and wiping out 6 months of work in one evening. So I tend to be out at the end of the day, and I reestablish the next morning.
Do you have recommendations for a size along those lines?
Yes. You mean the size of position trading?
Well, let's say the size of an account, if somebody wanted to trade using your methods.
Here's what I would tell you. This is a simple calculation that I've used for my whole life. Especially if you're not really professional at trading, put $10,000 in your account for every one lot you plan on trading. You want to be a 5-lot trader, have at least 50,000 in your account. You'll never run into margin troubles. You'll never lose half your account in one day. Always stick to, if I'm 1 lot, 10 grand, 10 lots, 100 grand, you will find that that's a fantastic formula. Never will get you a margin call.
Priscilla says, I feel my account is too small for swing trading, so I only day trade.
Well, in all honesty, that's if you have a small account, you have no choice but to day trade because you get out fast. You're not exposed to massive losses.
Rocky Savage says to tell Oscar. I wonder if that's his real name, Rocky Savage. But he says, tell Oscar he is the best.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Hey, Omni's the best. I'm just a good messenger boy for the Omni, but thank you so much.
Art wants to know, you alert to get in. He wants to know if you alert to get out.
Absolutely. You're alerted until the trade is complete, because I'm in the trades as well. You lose, I lose, you win, I win. I usually feel the pain more than you guys because maybe I'll trade a little more. But rest assured, if I get you in a trade, it's because I got me in a trade. We're sharing this together.
Do you do any, this has come up a couple times. Do you do any analysis for Forex?
Yes, I absolutely do, but I'll apply it if I'm going to trade it to the futures markets for currencies instead.
Makes sense.
But yes, I kind of started off in Forex many moons ago with analysis because those had the more perfect charts to do analysis on back in the 80s, but times have changed.
Priscilla says, really enjoyed your presentation. Thank you so much. Stanley says, I've never seen anyone like Oscar. I think they broke the mold.
Well, when this first started, I told you you'd never seen anybody like me, right? This is
so
real.
Ron asks, and I think this will be the last question, just looking at the time. Ron asks, do you trade all day or do you stick to it in the morning? I think I can answer that for you. When he was in the office this week, we couldn't pull him away from the room.
They couldn't get me to go play golf at Top Golf. They had to drag me out. For me, vacation means trading from another location. That's all. Hey, by the way, I've got one thing to say. With all this experience I've learned in the markets, go Knights, go! How about my Vegas Knights, huh? They're going crazy.
All right. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, Oscar. Great job today. Appreciate it. I promised everybody that you would be fun. Very enjoyable presentation. So thank you for making me.
Thank you for showing up. Much appreciated. Hopefully I'll see you in my trading room.
Okay. So that's Oscar. If you want to kind of hook up with him, if you want to kind of take a look at what he's doing, Omni just go to the website. And I believe it was tradewithomni.com. So in any case, let's go ahead and kind of get moving on. All right. Do want to remind you about the Trader's Toolbox that we're talking about today. Thank you for everybody that's bought this. It includes some of the best add-ons we've ever created. And that's not just my opinion. That's based on kind of how they're selling, as well as the reviews that we get, as well as the feedback I get from you guys. So you can get Steve Bigelow's Candle Profit System, Vince Vora's Veracity, Barry Burns' Top Dog Toolkit, Rick Sadler's Patterns for Profit, and Rob Booker, who's right next with his Knoxville Divergence. Normally, if you bought all of those separately, you'd pay twice as much and you wouldn't get 2 years of stocks and commodities. You wouldn't get 3 months of meta stock real time with the news and service from Thomson Reuters, and you wouldn't get the training as well. So normally it'd be about $4,000 to get everything like that. Most of it comes on a 30-day money-back guarantee. The only thing we don't refund are the charges that you pay for the data, because we have to pay for your data. So it's $4,087 normally. $1,936 is your summit special price. Give us a call, 800-882-3040. You can also visit us at metastock.com/saleschat. So do want to say thank you for Stocks and Commodities again. And make sure you've claimed your free issue. Don't leave here without getting your free issue. Like I said, no credit cards required. That free issue also comes to access to all of their archives. There's like 17,000 articles in there. They've been publishing since 1982. I've been a subscriber since like 1994. It's a great magazine. And thank you for the sponsorship today. So